Hello everyone. Today I will recap the movie Violent Night. Please watch it together. On Christmas Eve, Santa Claus sat drinking with a bored expression. He felt that his job was miserable because he having to face the greed eyes of the children. The people around thought that he was just an old man in disguise and did not pay attention to him. Suddenly he stood up and took out a gift box from his pocket for the shopkeeper's grandson. The shopkeeper was surprised to know that he knew her grandson and even went up the chimney to the roof. While she was happy to see the real Santa Claus, he suddenly turned around and vomited on her head. At this time, Linda and Jason's family and their daughter Trudy were on their way to visit their billionaire grandmother, Gertrude, in Connecticut. Although Jason and Linda separated, but they didn't want their families to know, so they reunited to go home for the holidays. At Gertrude's mansion, a group of servants were busy preparing for the party. Jason quickly placed the gift for his mother under the Christmas tree and argued with his sister Alva. Alva has a husband, actor Morgan, and a son named Bert, who is always glued to his phone. Through the conversation between Alva and Jason, it is easy to see that both feel the pressure from their mother. Jason is on the verge of divorce, and Alva is always trying to please her mother. Finally, Gertrude appears, but she is busy nagging her subordinates on the phone and does not pay attention to her children and grandchildren who are expecting attention from her. After hanging up the call, Gertrude continues to criticize and order everyone to start the party. At the same time, Santa Claus is going around delivering gifts. Wherever he is, he takes the opportunity to drink a few cans of beer or pour a glass of wine from everyone's house. No one believes that Santa Claus is real, but little Trudy always believes. She even blames her father for not taking her to the mall to send her wishes to Santa. In order not to lose his daughter's innocence, Jason cleverly gives her a walkie-talkie and tells her that she can talk to Santa through it. Trusting her father, she immediately used the walkie-talkie to send her wish. It turned out that what she wanted was a Christmas miracle from Santa Claus that could mend her parents' relationship. When her parents learned this, they were both confused. Meanwhile, the real Santa Claus was busy scolding the reindeer, but soon after, he used magic to go down the chimney and enjoy the food that the homeowner had left on the table. The house was so luxurious, there was even a massage chair, so he did not hesitate to enjoy the comfortable moments there. Santa Claus did not know that he was in Gertrude's mansion. Meanwhile, the butler suddenly attacked the supervisor monitor, then disconnected the network. Outside the mansion gate, a stranger also came forward and shot the gatekeeper in the head, then called his men to enter the house. Everyone in the house was unaware that the mansion was being broken into by dangerous people. Inside, Linda is scolding Jason for letting Gertrude interfere so much in his personal life. Jason is criticized and does not have time to react. He immediately reveals that he has a special plan to escape his mother's control and regain his wife's love. But at this time, the intruders went deeper into the house. They are ready to shoot and take down the guards of the mansion. The waitress reveals her true identity as a female assassin. She pulls a dagger from her thigh and turns around to stab two large guards to death. Anyone who intends to resist will pay a heavy price. The situation becomes extremely serious. The senior guards realize that Gertrude must be taken to the security room immediately. But before the family can enter the security room, Scrooge, the mastermind of the robbery, appears in that very room. He easily takes down Gertrude's two close guards and takes control of the house. Jason and his wife rushed upstairs to wake up Trudy, but they were threatened with guns by Scrooge's henchmen. At this time, Santa Claus woke up and realized that he was in a house that was being robbed. He tried to use magic to fly out of the chimney, but his ability did not work. He was brutally attacked by a robber. During the struggle, the robber fired a gun into the ceiling, causing the reindeer to panic and fly away. With no means of escape, Santa had to try to fight the robber. The robber tried to strangle him with flashing lights, but was pushed out of the window by he. However, he was also dragged by the string of lights and fell out, but luckily, escaped death. When he left the house, Santa Claus saw the Lightstone family imprisoned in the living room. Gertrude was also beaten by Scrooge, causing Trudy to jump on her father in fear. Although the incident did not affect him, the image of a frightened child made him unable to leave. Inside the house, Gertrude is not worried, because she believes that the rescue team she has funded will soon arrive to punish the robbers. However, Scrooge claims that he knows this. He also realizes that the Lightstone family is $300 billion in money at the mansion, and he is willing to do everything to get it. He quickly steals the key to the secret vault to find $300 billion. At the same time, the robbers discovered that one of their accomplices had been impaled on a decorative icicle. So Scrooge ordered his subordinates to search for the person who did it. Meanwhile, Trudy, frightened by the robbers' threat, uses a walkie-talkie to call for help from Santa Claus, as she still believes in the legend. Coincidentally, the real Santa Claus is in the basement trying to contact the outside world. When he encounters a robber on patrol, he tries to use the items in his bag to fight back, but is unsuccessful. He then used socks to wrap billiard balls into weapons and hit the robber, making him dizzy. However, after a while of struggling, he was pressed to the ground. Then, he threw decorative balls at the robber. In a decisive moment, Santa found a flashing star-shaped light and used it to attack the robber. After knocking him down, the robber's walkie-talkie started to signal. Not knowing how to use it, he pressed the buttons randomly and accidentally connected to Trudy's signal. Knowing that she was a good child, and also one of the hostages held by the robbers in the mansion, he decided to save her. Meanwhile, thanks to the house's security camera, Scrooge's henchmen discovered that the person who killed the first robber was Santa Claus. Santa arrived at the gate of the mansion and found that the gatekeeper had been killed. At this time, Scrooge calls the henchman's walkie-talkie. However, Santa holds the walkie-talkie and claims to be the real Santa Claus, but no one believes him. After a challenge to the robbers, he realized that he was injured. Scrooge quickly returned to the living room to question Gertrude because he thought that Santa Claus was a special bodyguard that she had hired. When he did not receive a reasonable answer, he ordered Jason to be tortured to put pressure on she. Seeing her father being threatened, Trudy rushed to threaten and mentioned Santa Claus, but her parents explained that it was just a child's game. Jason was forced to admit that Santa Claus was not real, making Trudy very angry and running away, interrupting the robbers' torture. On this side, Santa Claus returned to the mansion's basement and stitched up the large wound on his stomach himself. Because of the pain and loss of blood, so he fainted but was quickly woken up by baby Trudy. The girl complains that adults say Santa isn't real, but he insists that miracles can happen and that Christmas magic is real. Downstairs, the robbers force the Lightstone family to open their Christmas gifts. Gertrude is tasked with opening the presents from her children. Alva and her husband give her trivial presents and begs for money to finance the film project, leaving Gertrude frustrated. Meanwhile, Jason's gift is a bottle of whiskey with a card. When Gertrude reads card from her son, she suddenly smiles and puts the card in her pocket. Her reaction surprised Jason to the point of speechlessness. Back to Santa Claus, he confesses that in the past, he was a cruel warrior, capable of using a hammer to kill people. At that time, he lived in greed and cruelty. However, Trudy still believes that the good things he did made up for his previous mistakes. Her naive belief awakened his conscience. He was determined to rescue she. When he left his hiding place, he confronted the female assassin Candy and the butler Gingerbread. They detonated a fire extinguisher, causing him to faint, and then tied him up for questioning. Although he honestly said that he was Santa Claus, the robbers did not believe him. However, the fact that he took out a bunch of things from the red bag made Candy and Gingerbread suspicious. Scrooge did not let his accomplices be swayed, so he angrily threw the bag into the fireplace and declared that he hated Christmas because he had encountered unhappy memories. While witnessing the incident from the attic, Trudy decided to use the available items to save Santa. She used fake foam to create snow to distract the robbers. At that moment, Santa's magic took effect, allowing him to escape through the chimney. Outside, the sound of the rescue vehicle that Gertrude had been waiting for began to sound. Morgan saw his opportunity and attacked the robber guarding the living room. However, instead of continuing to fight to rescue everyone, he ran outside to escape. When he reached the gate, he met Gertrude's rescue team, but instead of saving him, the group shot him dead. It turns out that the rescue team and Scrooge's gang of robbers have joined forces. At this time, Santa Claus was sitting on the roof and saw what happened. Bullets from the robbers flew and made him fall from the roof to the ground. Think that the obstacle has been dealt with, the robbers immediately entered the secret room and used the rescue team's key to open the safe. However, the safe was completely empty, which angered Scrooge. He suspected that the Lightstone family had moved the money. Santa Claus had a dangerous situation when he almost lost his life after falling from the roof. Santa then hid in a warehouse and decided to give up on saving little Trudy. He realized that with his weak strength, he could not fight against a whole army of young soldiers and fierce robbers. But Trudy has a special talent for psychological manipulation, so after just a few flattery sentences, she got him back in his spirits. Moreover, finding a hammer in the warehouse reminds him of his youth when he used to fight. The robbers also quickly stormed the warehouse, but they could not match Santa's fighting spirit. Meanwhile, in the living room, Scrooge frantically fires a gun, demanding that the Lightstone family reveal the missing money. The rescue team also appears, revealing that they have allied with the robbers, making the Lightstone family feel desperate. In order to find the 300 billion, Scrooge decides to take Linda hostage. This makes Jason unable to control himself, and he admits that he is the one who secretly transferred the large amount of money. He stole this money in the hope that the wealth will help him escape his mother's control and live happily with his wife and children. Jason also sends this message to his mother through a card in the Christmas gift box. While Scrooge decided to take Jason hostage to find $300 billion, Gingerbread and Candy went to capture baby Trudy. However, Trudy uses her knowledge from years of watching movies to set up a trap, causing Gingerbread to trip and stab herself on a long nail, while Candy is defeated by bowling balls. After a while of fighting, Candy, angry, threw a ball on the ground, accidentally causing Gingerbread to fall. She was then continuously pushed into the glue on the floor and had to step on sharp pieces of glass. Angry, she pointed the gun at Trudy, but suddenly Santa Claus appeared and used a hammer to knock her down. However, right after that, Candy immediately regained consciousness, but then Santa Claus used a hammer to kill her. On the other side, Gertrude and Jason were dragged away by robbers to find a place to hide the money. When the amount of $300 billion was found, Scrooge immediately ordered Krampus to kill Alva, Bert, and Linda. In the living room, they argued about who should be killed first, making Krampus furious. Taking advantage of this situation, Alva threw a glass of wine into the fireplace, igniting the fire and distracting Krampus. Then, they rushed to attack him. Alva also used an iron bar to stab him to make sure he was dead. Immediately after that, Trudy brought Santa Claus in to introduce him to everyone. When he learns that Jason and Gertrude have been taken by bandits, Santa takes the gun from Krampus and gives it to Linda to go with him to rescue them. Linda fired to cover, while Santa swung his hammer and rushed forward to deal with the robbers. Jason was saved and reunited with Linda, but before he could be happy, a robber woke up. At this time, Linda's gun was out of bullets, so the two sides could only fight hand to hand. Jason was quickly attacked by the robber, and Linda was not strong enough to fight him, but just as he was strangling and lifting her up, she managed to stab him with a piece of a decorative icicle. At the same time, Santa Claus used a sled to chase Scrooge and Thorpe, the leader of the rescue team, because they had taken Gertrude hostage. He took advantage of the terrain and slid down, knocked down a soldier, then took sled to continue chasing Scrooge and Thorpe. Forced to sit behind Thorpe's sledge, Gertrude certainly did not leave him alone. When annoyed, he pushed her off the sled, but accidentally hit a tree and fell out. She took the opportunity to pick up the gun that fell next to her, and then resolved the danger to her family herself. At this time, Santa Claus drove the sled closer to Scrooge with the intention of stabbing him to death, but he quickly dodged to the side, causing Santa to crash straight into a tree. The impact was so strong that Santa and his car flew into a nearby wooden house. Scrooge immediately chased after him and fired at Santa Claus. However, Santa dodged them. He then found a scroll that classified good and bad children, which convinced him that Santa was real. This made him want to kill Santa even more to end the Christmas tradition. Out of bullets, so the two rushed into a duel. Despite his age and injuries, but Santa was still able to hold Scrooge. Just then, a fire broke out, forcing both of them to run out of the wooden house. Once outside, Scrooge picked up a pickaxe and attacked Santa without hesitation. The ground was now frozen, so Santa's slippery shoes put him at a disadvantage. Santa was cornered by he into a nearby chimney to deliver the final blow. However, Trudy's faith in Santa gave him strength. Santa used a little magic to push Scrooge through the chimney, ending the attack. But before he could celebrate his victory, Thorpe suddenly appeared and fired gun at Santa. As Thorpe was about to shoot the last bullet into Santa's head, when Gertrude appeared in time and shot Thorpe in the head. Then, Jason and his wife and Trudy also arrived just in time. At this time, Santa was very weak and kept complaining of being cold. With what he had done for his family, Jason was willing to use $300 billion to burn to warm him. Seeing Santa getting weaker, Trudy immediately called on the whole family to put their faith in him to help him gain more strength. Indeed, everyone's faith in Santa created a miracle. It revived him. After thanking him emotionally, Santa had to continue his journey to deliver gifts because the reindeer and the sleigh were ready. Experiencing a terrifying night, he understood the value of Christmas miracles. The Lightstone family also realized that family was their most precious asset. If you find it interesting, please give me a like and leave a comment about this movie. Especially, please subscribe to the channel to follow my movie recap. See you again, my dear friends.